1, 2, 3, 4. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner where you are. Someone far from the harbor, you may ride across the water. Brighten the corner where you are. Hello and welcome to the March 2021 Postmark Jamboree. I'm sitting here with Frank. We'll be hearing a little bit more about Frank later on in our show. This month's Jamboree for March 2021, we have a unique theme. We have some unique guests. We're going to be having some international visitors for this month's Jamboree show. Our first international visitor, we're going to jump right in and let him do some entertaining for you, is Banjo Dai. That's D-A-I. He's coming to us from Barnstable, England. I decided this month that I would try to reach out to individual performers or groups that had inspired us to keep the show going through their videos on the internet that they had kept putting out in this time when they couldn't perform live. So that's sort of the same situation we're in with the Jamboree. We've not been able to have a live show in the last year or so, and we've been keeping it going via video, and these performers, some of them we're going to see on this month's Jamboree, have inspired us to keep it going. Banjo Dai is a unique individual. He plays a version of old-time music that not only the Americans can relate with through our old-time music, but it even goes back further to British Isles music. He plays banjo, dulcimer, has some jig dolls that he builds and dances, and I think you'll enjoy Banjo Dai. So I'm going to let him kick it off with a tune called Child Grove, and I'll see you back in a few minutes.
Hello, Postmark Jamboree. I'm Banjo Dai. I'm over in Barnstable, England. I'd like to play you one of my favourite old tunes. It's called The Child Grove. Cheers from Di. You can follow me on Facebook and you can follow me on YouTube. All the best, yeah. Ta-ra.
Wasn't Banjo Di something? I really appreciate him keeping his videos going on the internet during this time when we're not able to have live audiences. You can follow him and look him up on Facebook and also on YouTube at Banjo Di, D-A-I. So be sure to look him up and follow him. He's got some great videos on his social media sites. One of the more interesting things I've come across on the internet is a video documentary put together by Brad Hansen. It is a documentary of the old Tennessee Jamboree program, which existed in La Follette, Tennessee for many years. It's an extremely well put together documentary and very informative. You'll get to see highlights of it as we go through our show. We're going to start out right now with the very first part of that documentary. Dr. Brad Hansen was kind enough to let us use it for our program this month, so I know that you will enjoy this look back at the Tennessee Jamboree.
Well, I think the next generation is never going to be able to comprehend all that we've done. This is not going to mean anything to them unless you were there when there was no television. You can't really comprehend that. If we don't somehow leave behind a real true picture of how life was, they're never going to know. You got to get it across to them how it used to be, and especially being in the history books, because they have done a lot. Those that perform week after week, they did a lot of work in their lifetime, and sure, it means a lot to them. And if you can get people interested in looking it up and researching it, they I think will have a greater appreciation for those musicians. They did not have the equipment that we have. They had to travel in car from place to place. They didn't have elaborate buses. They didn't have jets. They had to do it the hard way. They'd do a show and then drive for hours and rest a little bit and go out and set up all their equipment, do another show. They sacrificed how they'd load up the car after a show, and they'd talk to people, and they had to take their guitar, their banjo, or the fiddle, or the bass, or whatever they had, and stand up there and sing. They contributed a lot to country music and the gospel and the bluegrass. I mean, they are the ones that made it the hard way. I can't talk to my grandkids about the good old days because they just say, how could that be? You had to try somehow to explain it to them. They'll never get to sit in the audience at the Tennessee Jamboree or the Midday Merry-Go-Round. They'll never get there. There will never be anything to take its place. And all we can do is let them hear the way it was and let them imagine the way it was back then. If they're interested in music to start with, chances are they're interested in how did it used to be. And you need to get it across to them, this is how it was. There was 50 people that went into this auditorium, and they sat down, and this is what they heard.
We've got a good crowd on hand already, and we know it's real early yet. And you folks listening in have still got plenty of time now to come on out and be with us. Got plenty of seats for you tonight, plenty of parking room, and we're going to have a real turn down time, my grannies, here on the Big Tennessee Jamboree tonight. We got a whistling microphone here, too. We're going to try to eliminate, here in a minute. But anyway, we're going to get right into the program now and kind of call all the boys around. And what do you got, Carlos? The Remington Rag. Let's go.
Well, there are still some people alive that remember when that station came on the air. It was on a Sunday afternoon, May 17th, 1953 at 2 o'clock. And people remember that. They threw out some things with a plane that was flying overhead. And one fellow at the Historical Society still has one of those pennies that was dropped out. And we still have people that will, say, I remember when you all came on the air. They have been, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have been faithful listeners for all of those years. They depended on us then, and they depend on us now. They had no way of knowing the score of a ball game or anything unless somebody come back and tell them, hey, we won tonight or we lost tonight. They had no way of knowing that, and you didn't have the communication. Everybody's got a cell phone in their pocket, and everybody talks to everybody constantly. You couldn't do that back then. It wasn't available. So people, if they wanted to know what happened at a public meeting, they would have to wait until the local newspaper came out the Thursday of the following week to find out about it, unless they talked to somebody that went. And a lot of people, especially then, would go to bed early and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They didn't keep up with the public meetings. They just wait till later and read about it. They could never see it live or see it played back or hear about it right after it was over. That's changed drastically. People didn't drive around back then as much, and they went to bed very early. And the same thing with obituaries. If somebody down on the lower end of Caravel had a good friend up on the other end of La Follette that died, it'd be hard for them to get that word because somebody'd have to come along and tell them. And if somebody told them wrong, they just made a big mistake. And I'm sorry, he didn't die. I heard later. Well, you didn't have it confirmed.
Oh, I thought it was a plus by all means because, we only had the La Follette Press, and it was a weekly paper. And I'll tell you what, most everybody had a radio. This was before TV come in this area. And, the local news and the local people, all they got was the La Follette Press. Or they may pick up a radio station. I don't know. I know we had them in Knoxville. And they might have been a radio station in Clinton at that time. I don't remember. But we needed a radio station. And it was wise thinking because it was a plus for the whole county because, you can get local news. And then you can have all of these programs. So anyhow, the radio station has been great.
Yeah, I remember when they started. They started down there in that old Piedmont hotel. It's still standing up there. And they had their office in one corner of it down there. It was small. It was years before they built that building where they're at now. Oh, they're big time, man.
Yeah, I can remember them hearing talk about a radio station starting over here in La Follette. I thought, boy, we moved up. And I never was around the station much till later on, There were a lot of people over in here that played and sung over the station. But it was later on that before I ever got to, be there. Yeah, we'd listen to it when we'd pick it up. It wasn't a real stout station, and you had to be so close to it to pull it in.
It was in a little old place downtown business. R.A. Cordell, I think it was, I think maybe he might have had sold some music stuff in that store. Oh, that's been so long I forgot. But that's where the first hit there. And then he got up there in an old hotel, Piedmont it was back then. They set up in there. And it stayed there till they built up where they at now. Been a while though. First day it come on there. Oh, God, it was big. Yeah, that big.
There was a boy by the name of Denny Walker. He was from down in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, that his mother lived here. And, of course, he lived in Lawrenceburg, like I say, but he come here to live, and he got a job with WLDF. And Denny, we became good friends. And he's actually the one that wanted to start a jamboree. And I told him that would be a good thing to do. Let people come and watch us play and maybe drop a quarter or two and help us out a little. Well, the first time with the La Follette High School, but we also played down at the electric department. We were down there. I can remember me and Robert Stevens, and I want to say Monroe Quinter. Seems like, but Billy Ray Bird played banjo. I remember that. And Robert had a couple of boys in his band.
I think that's when they were the Robert and the Blue Valley Boys back then in the old high school building. I think they played there. Of course, Carlos and Monroe and all them played at it. I think that's where they started. Robert come with us, see, and was looking for a name, and he said, why don't we just call it Blue Valley Boys? He said, I was one of them. And everybody said fine with us, and we went with Blue Valley Boys too. And with that group, I am original.
Apparently, there was a Blue Valley Boy group. Robert Stevens was involved in the early stages of this group. Now, I didn't even know about that. They may tell it even, they've got some angles about this probably that I don't even remember, but I do remember. Elmer he was living in Coolidge at the time. Like I said, they mostly grew up out there and stayed there as adults. One particular meeting I remember they had, I remember Red and Monroe, and I'm not sure about the other guy. I believe it was Carlos Henderson. And they came to Elmer's house one day, and I was there. I spent a lot of time with Elmer when I was growing up. And I remember they were in the process then of getting him to get into a band, forming a band. I don't know whether it would have been they were getting him into a band already there or they were just forming a new band from scratch. That's the part that I remember about the Blue Valley Boys establishment, is when they were out there that day at his house and they were discussing him leading the band, you know. I guess that was the thrust of the meeting. They wanted him to take hold of it and take charge and run with it.
As long about the time Elmer Longmore took over. I think Monroe and Elmer became big buddies. I think that's the way it come out. Monroe and of course I was just playing fiddle and just picking along, you know, and I thought, well, hey, you know, Elmer will sell us, you know, which he would. He would just get out there and blast it, you know.
Elmer Longmore's got to be the manager of that station in the 60s, early 60s. I think he started with the Blue Valley Boys about 62, I think, best I remember. All I remember is being Tennessee Jamboree at the American Legion building back when we started it. And I think that was about 62, 63. It's Monroe, Henry Horn. Gosh, I can't remember. Charlie Collins. I was about to forget him. We called him Peanut back then. Carlos Henderson. Later, LC. Of course, Robert Stevens was in that bunch. Dean Huddleston. And a fellow by the name of, we called him Pap Jones. His name was M.T., but Pap Jones had Pap and the Younglings back in them days, too. He had got a job up at the radio station as an announcer, you know, and there was a furniture store downtown. Elmer got us to come down there and pick up our, and we was Pap and the Youngins then. And he got a spot up there for, in the daytime, I can't remember what time, but every Saturday I think it was. And he started with us then. That's in 60, I guess that's about 62, early 62.
And before long, they got the American Legion building down there. Well, it's a band, I think Charlie Collins was, and Red Harris, and Carl Stump, and Dean Huddleston, and That's about it.
Elmer Longmire. He was a good feller. He was a lot of fun, you know.
He kept the show going. He was just kept it moving. He was the jamboree, really. He kept it going, and he knew how to do that. Of course, I think he was WLAF too.
Well, he was great. I mean, you know, he was a great singer, guitar player, radio announcer.
At the time, he was certainly the best I ever heard, and I can look back and say he probably is still the best. I mean, he was just so good at ad-libbing and taking care of whatever come up. He could handle it.
Buddy, that Elmer was the best feller to liven the crowd up I ever seen. I don't care how dead the crowd was. And you know when you get to play in a place like we was there at the Follett, your crowd will sit out there and die if you don't watch him. He was an extra good MC and a good feller to be with.
Elmer, he was a fantastic man, and we just loved him to death. And he'd make you welcome, buddy. Anywhere he seen you, if he knowed you, he'd speak to you.
He's A1 MC. They just don't come no better as doing the MC work than Elmer Longmire.
I just thought the world of him, and he was a good man.
He just let you sing. He would. He didn't shun nobody. He really didn't. He's a wonderful person. He was just a outgoing person, just an old country boy.
He was an MC among MCs, Elmer was. He never run out of nothing to say. He was like that everywhere. If he was here, he'd be like that, you know. He just one of them fellers that was easy to get along with and all the time had something to say. Sure did. Always say.
He's real friendly going feller, Elmer was. Just wasn't no trouble at all.
Everybody wanted to consider themselves a friend with him. He was just that kind, you know. He touched a lot of lives.
Turkey in the Straw. I'm sure they heard that tune on the Tennessee Jamboree in La Follette, Tennessee many years ago. I hope you're enjoying this look back at the Tennessee Jamboree. This month we are focusing on people and things we've come across on the internet that have kept us inspired to keep the Postmark Jamboree going through this time of no audiences and social distancing and no live music. We're hoping to get back to that really soon. But until we do, you can always catch the Postmark Jamboree's previous shows on our Postmark Jamboree YouTube channel. You can follow us on Facebook and keep up with our plans for the future. You can also check out information about the Jamboree on postmarklafollette.org's website. Our next performer is going to be another young lady that has kept us inspired to keep the show going. She's been on the Postmark Jamboree several times, and we were happy to get her to come back. She is currently doing a series of birthday tunes where she salutes people that have inspired her by doing a song for them via the internet. Follow Casey Moore on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, her Instagram account is fiddlingginger04. And you can follow her as Casey, K-A-S-E-Y, Moore, M-O-O-R-E, on Facebook. So take it away, Casey.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Postmark Jamboree for letting me play. My name is Casey Moore, and if you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook just as Casey Moore or on Instagram as fiddlingginger04. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy. The corner of my eye, I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I've never seen a man that looks so all alone. Could you use a little company? If you pay the right price, your evening will be nice, and you can go and send me such a sweet young thing, what do you do this to yourself? She looked at me, and this is what she said. She said, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, and there ain't nothing in this world for free. You know I can't slow down, I can't hold back. You know I wish I could. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked till we close our eyes for good. Well, only 15 minutes later, I'm still walking down the street when I saw the shadow of a man creep out of sight. And then he swept up from behind, he put a gun up to my head. He made it clear he wasn't looking for a fight. He said, give me all you got, I want your money, not your life. But if you try to make a move, I won't think twice. I said, you can have my cash, but first I gotta ask, what made you wanna live this kind of life? He said, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, and there ain't nothing in this world for free. You know I can't slow down, I can't hold back. Oh, you know I wish I could, but there ain't no rest for the wicked till we close our eyes for good. Well, a couple hours later, I was sitting in my house. The day was winding down and coming to an end. And so I turned on the TV and flipped it over to the news. And what I saw, I almost couldn't comprehend. I saw a preacher man in cuffs, he'd taken money from the church, stuffed his bank account with righteous dollar bills. But even still, I can't say much because I know we're all the same. We all seek out to satisfy those thrills. You know there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, and there ain't nothing in this world for free. You know we can't slow down, we can't hold back, and you know we wish we could, but there ain't no rest for the wicked till we close our eyes for good. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked till we close our eyes for good. Thank you.
And now let's get back to Dr. Brad Hanson's documentary on the Tennessee Jamboree, a long-time live music show held in La Follette, Tennessee.
They put a tape on now, and the whole show's done. But now, then they had to play each individual record and say a few words, advertise a little bit between. So he did. He was MC or disc jockey, I should say, on some of those shows, and then he would have to do those commercials. So he was there every day, and I don't think there was any days that went by without he was. You could hear him. Oh yeah, he managed it for years. It wasn't that he was arrogant with it or anything by any means. Nobody could accuse him of that. But I think he did. He liked the spotlight, and he liked to be in charge. He was where he wanted to be. He was he's black-headed. Remember, he had a little white spot on the side of his head, just as white as snow, about the size of a nickel. But that was sort of a trademark with him. But he was black-headed. He was real slim, about 6 foot, I guess. But he was always neat. I guess from the ladies' standpoint, he's a good-looking guy. He carried himself well, and he just presented himself well. You know, everybody just took to him that I know of.
You hit a crowd or something that was sort of backward or didn't have much to say or nothing, it wouldn't be long till them would have them in an uproar. He's gifted at it. He just done it on his own. Well, he's the same way off stage as he was on stage. He's always cutting up. He's always stealing my cigarettes. I'd light a cigarette or something. We'd be in the studio or something. I'd light a cigarette and lay it up in the ashtray, and he'd get it. If he got a chance, he'd get a pack.
I think for the most part, everybody's opinion's the same there. You know, he was good on stage, especially. On the radio, he held his own, but as far as doing live shows, he was hard to beat. He kept a show moving, and he wouldn't let it. You didn't see many dead spots. Of course, everybody respected him to the point, that nobody was going to disrupt anything anyway on those shows, and he pretty much known as good as you get with those live shows. He just had a way of talking that got your attention. It's not that he had the greatest voice in the world or that it projected, but he just had a way of saying it and talking, and you just, all of a sudden you're listening, And he did use that to be a good, he was good at it.
Off in his head that nothing was put down, it worked good. Good. If you could pick and sing, or if you could sing without picking, we'd pick for you. He was one of them fellers, if he was doing something and pulled a boo-boo, they'd just make a big joke out of it and keep it going. Yeah, he really worked at it. Sure did.
He loved music, and he put his whole heart into it. He told me one time, he said, as long as I'm able to go and play, and he said, and I can get a place to pick at, he said, I'm going to play music. And he lived up to that. He just loved to play music. And he said, if you enjoy it and everybody can have a good time, he said, why not? And, I admire him for that. I really do. He kept things together there for years and years.
He prided himself on the Tennessee Jamboree.
Of course, the Jamboree was on Saturday night. I think 7 o'clock to about 11, 7 to 11, at the American Legion building. We had a wonderful time. It was a good, clean show, and everybody just seemed to enjoy. They just reared back and had a wonderful time. We had a good audience every Saturday night. Oh, they were several. They come faithful every Saturday night.
And before long, they got the American Legion building down there. And it was every Saturday night. Lord, they drove some crowds. Well, they'd pack that building every Saturday night. And it had a big auditorium. I'd say it'd probably seat 100 people, maybe more than that. But usually, most time, it was standing room. Everybody get there early and get the seats, then they'd stand around the wall. Well, it is noisy.
Oh, it held a bunch of people. It was just a big old stage, and then the rest of it was seating. And they had some kind of a little snack bar in there.
Yeah, concession stand out in front.
Most of the time
it was full house. People loved to go down there. They enjoyed the music and had a good time. They just wanted to go down and have a good time on Saturday nights. Different ones come, but he had a regular bunch that was there every Saturday night, buddy. They were faithful people. It was just like going to work on Monday morning. When Saturday night got there, they was there.
Oh, for sure. The Saturday night was, that was for the Jamboree. That was always given. As far as describing that show, I would think that if you want to see some good music, especially around that area, you wanted to go to the Tennessee Jamboree, and for a big segment of that time, that was the only show. So if you wanted a good show, the Tennessee Jamboree was pretty well known. That he had some of the notable musicians.
Yeah, they wasn't nothing really other than the Tennessee Jamboree. And you had to either go to Clinton or Knoxville or up in Renfro Valley. Was about the only things else anywhere close around. Buddy, people just loved to go down here. It was close, had good musicians, good place to go to.
It was
really
a clean
turned out.
show, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see a lot of stuff like you see now going on. It was a clean show. You could take your kids.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you could.
And not be afraid of what they was going to see or hear.
Well, it was a little more down home, and of course they didn't have as many entertainers. But they were about as well known then as the ones in Knoxville. They were kind of on the same level. The entertainment was great because back then you'd have a big crowd and they'd all enjoy it. So they were pretty much along the same line. The people in neighboring counties especially, they would come, and then, a lot of times somebody in Knoxville would be on one of the programs, Kaz Walker Farm and Home Hour or Bonnie Lou and Buster, and they would announce that they would be at the Tennessee Jamboree next Saturday night, and so word got around. I mean, the people over there knew about it, and some of them would come. They didn't come every week, but they'd come periodically.
This is on Saturday night, on down about a mile south of La Follette. There's a concrete block building up there, and we got that building, and we run it right there. And then we started that jamboree down there, and Buddy Hit just absolutely bloomed out like flowers. It was running over every Saturday night, Buddy. I mean, I'd go down early on Saturday morning, and then we'd play around and go up to the radio station and play, and we'd just all get together and jam session, have a good jam session all day and half the night.
They broadcast this jamboree live every Saturday night.
They had some kind of remote where the American Legion is. That was where they had their show live, and it was transmitted from there to the main station.
And I remember several times he would call down at the radio station and get more time, on the air so that he could get everybody on. I think you just go out and do ever how many songs you wanted to do.
They'd be jamming in the back anyway, before the jamboree. Everybody, what they called jamming backstage. And then Elmer would line it up to who's going to be there and when he wanted them on. In his head. Kept the pace going because he's on the radio and he about had to. And he knew how to do that. He'd come back there. He'd say, "You're next."
Oh, yeah, we had some music back then. You ought to have been here. Yeah, these crowd. A lot of times they're standing around the walls. Yeah. It's the biggest thing back then going anywhere around here. I don't know, it's just kind of, we was all kind of homely, I guess you'd put it. Everybody had something in common, We done old traditional stuff that everybody could relate to. It just worked, buddy. Stuff like that ain't no more. Just ain't no more. Kind of makes you homesick of thinking about it.
Elmer, Carlos, Dean Huddleston, Red Harrison, and of course Charlie and Larry was there then. And that's ones that really was the main ones.
Well, the Blue Valley Boys, they was a house band, I guess you'd call them.
The best of I remember, it was Elmer, Longmire, Red Harris, Dean Huddleston, Monroe Queener, and Carlos Henderson, I think was the main ones in their group.
I guess they leaned a little bit more towards the Roy Acuff side of the old-time music, There was bluegrass, but it was, of course, Monroe Queener, he done a lot of Roy Acuff songs, and then some he done. It was just, I guess, about like any of the rest of it, just whatever come to mind to sing, work on it, work it out, and play it.
They were the biggest part of it. You couldn't have all superstars. You had to have a little local entertainment. These guys would go to high schools and fairs and different places, and we'd have a lot of announcements. They're going to be here, going to be there, and you'd hear it all the time where they were performing. They were a big part of the community. So, you know, in this area, we done pretty good for a small community, and people came out for it.
Oft I sing for my friend, wind is cold for my sea, and when I am gone, will someone sing for me? I wonder who will sing for me when I'm called to cross death's silent sea. Who will sing for me? When the voice of my King shall call me home above, oh, who then will sing the parting song I love? I wonder who will sing for me when I'm called to cross death's silent sea. Who will sing for me?
Monroe was a feller that you could absolutely depend on. Whatever he told you, you could take it to the bank. And he was one of the best people I think I ever walked on the stage with. Because whoever sung whatever, when it come break time to play, he played what they sang. If you sang a song, whether he heard it or not, when you got to the break, he'd play. He'd play it what you sung. And he played it good. Tommy and him put many miles on ourselves there, picking. He's a good one. Hard to beat, buddy.
Monroe was there, the dobro. I had never heard really a dobro. I didn't really know what it was, except I'd heard Roy Acuff's dobro player, Brother Oswald, and Monroe was just as good as he.
Monroe Queener could have went with the best in Nashville at that time and done real good. But I don't guess at that time they preferred to. He was kind of a quiet, down-to-business guy. I thought the world of Monroe. He was a wonderful person. His family, too. He was one of the best, I thought.
And Monroe Queener, and he was one of the best. He was one, if not the best, dobro player around. He knew the dobro. A lot of people learned from him.
He was one of the pioneers in that. He had an effect on a lot of pickers. Yeah, Josh Graves played for Flat and Scruggs. If I'm not mistaken, I've been told that the dobro that Josh played, he got from Monroe. If you've seen Josh, if you remember Josh's picking, his style was very similar to Monroe's, and he was just a pioneer in that, in the dobro realm. I think he started way back in the 40s, early 40s maybe, and he never changed his style that I know of. He kept that same style because it worked. But yeah, he was a good one.
Monroe was A1 top dobro picker in this country. That ain't necessarily my words. That was Josh. Josh bragged on him, played for Flat and Scruggs. Monroe was tops when it come to that dobro. Well, I seen Josh down at Monroe's house one time, which they was both top dobro players. They wasn't nothing to talk about. You done a lot of listening when you was around them two. I think maybe they might have swapped some stuff, but I don't think Monroe taught Josh, and I don't think Josh taught Monroe. But they show each other stuff, I'm sure. Monroe to be so good, I always wondered where he picked it up at. I used to go down to Monroe's and sit around and have jam sessions, and Monroe got a lot better later on in the years. I think he just flew with it more, and he just picked up a lot more of it, and he's around a lot of musicians and stuff, and he really got good. Monroe was tops. He's #1 dobro picker.
I've heard people say that when Monroe sang The Great Speckled Bird, everybody thought it was Roy Acuff singing it.
What a beautiful thought I am thinking concerning a great speckled bird. Remember her name is recorded on the pages of God's holy word. I am glad I have learned of her meekness. I am proud that my name is on her book. I want to be one, never fearing the true face of my Savior's true love. Now she's spreading her wings for a journey that she's going to make by and by. And I want to be ready to go with her there to meet my dear Maker in the sky. When he cometh descending from heaven on the clouds as he writes in his word, then I'll joyfully be carried to meet him on the wings of that great speckled bird.
Here is a photograph of Monroe Queener with Joe Mariner, probably from the early 1940s. As you can see, Monroe is holding a metal-bodied Regal brand resonator guitar, playing it lap style as he would play his dobro later on. Monroe passed away in 1998. He was my wife's uncle. Sometime after he passed away, I came across this guitar in an old chicken coop on my wife's parents' property. I kept it for many years, thinking I might eventually hang it up and display it. This was all that remained of the guitar, just the body and the neck, which had been partially eaten away, probably by mice. A few years ago, I decided to see if I could restore this guitar and get it back into playing condition. I was able to do that, and that is the guitar that I played during the opening of this month's Jamboree. It is a 1930s model Regal guitar, metal-bodied. And as you can see, it's now in playable condition and sounds really great. I'm proud to have this guitar that Monroe Queener had at one time.
Haven't dropped one yet. Hi, Dave.
Hi, all right.
Monroe, how you
Hello,
doing?
Jim.
Good to have you all as guest on the show. How's the cider barn?
Pretty good. Everything's running pretty good out there.
Campaign almost made it, didn't
Just about.
it? Talk about campaigners. These fellows picked all over the state of Tennessee.
We laid with him, Jim.
From the valleys of the Mississippi to Johnson City and Mountain City and Bristol and all over. Play some fine music, and I enjoyed it, and Jake and CH and all the folks enjoyed it too. That's a dobro.
That's right.
It's an interesting guitar.
Right.
Let's hear it. What are you going to play for us,
Let's
Dave?
do a little Foggy Mountain breakdown.
Right now.
These old resonator guitars have been used in blues music for a long time. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the old Clayton Holmes program, which used to be live on local TV here in La Follette, Tennessee from several years ago with Monroe Queener and David West doing Foggy Mountain Breakdown. We're going to go to our next international guest on this month's Postmark Jamboree. Prakash Slim plays blues, and he was kind enough to send us a video. He's one of the musicians we're featuring this month that have inspired us to continue with the program, even though we cannot have a live audience and are involved with social distancing situations. So we appreciate him sending us a video. Follow him on Facebook and Instagram and on Reverb Nation. He'll give you some information and will provide you with some great blues music.
Hello everybody, this is Prakash Lim, an international artist and educator of the blues from Nepal. I am so pleased to play a tune for Postmark Jamboree, a non-profit arts organization, Tennessee, USA. Well, I have music on Reverb Nation and on YouTube. I also run Blues in the Schools project. You can purchase my official merchandise at wangdangdoodletees.com. You can also visit my website, prakashlim.com. Now I'm gonna play a tune called I'm a Steady Rolling Man. I'm a steady rolling man. I roll both night and day. I'm a steady rolling man. I roll both night and day. But I haven't got a sweet woman. Boys to be rolling this away. I'm the man that rolls when icicles hang in the tree. I'm the man that rolls when icicles hang in the tree. And now hear my howling, baby, down on my bended knee. I'm a hard-working man, having for many years I know. I'm a hard-working man, having for many long years I know. And some cream puppets using my money, babe, that will never be no more. You can give your sweet woman everything she wants in one time. You can give your sweet woman everything she wants in one time. Well, boy, stick a remedy in her brain, some monkey man on her mind. I'm a steady rolling man. I roll both night and day. I'm a steady rolling man. I roll both night and day. Well, I don't have no sweet woman, boys to be rolling this away.
I lost my dog, what am I gonna do? I lost my dog, what am I gonna do? What rhymes with do? Oh, I'm writing a song. Our next performer, Tony Thomas, is from Rocky Top, Tennessee. He has been on our video or on our show, Postmark Jamboree, several times. He's a good songwriter, unlike myself. And he's going to do an original tune for us. He's going to be performing here coming up, and we appreciate Tony and what he's been doing on the internet, posting videos of songs, old songs and original songs, and keeping us all motivated to keep practicing, to keep picking and singing all through this pandemic. So take it away, Tony Thomas.
Howdy friends, Tony Thomas here. Glad to be here. I'm a singer-songwriter from the area, and I appreciate the Postmark Jamboree for having me this way, Mr. Tony Branham and all the other fine staff. I can't say nothing but good about the Postmark Jamboree. They feature a lot of singer-songwriters, and especially the young talent of the region. And they give these people a place to showcase their music where they can sing and play. And we've got a lot of good young people and singer-songwriters in the immediate area, and we appreciate them. I can't, like I say, Postmark Jamboree, it's what's happening, buddy, and we really do enjoy our trips when they come up to sing and play for Tony. This is a song I wrote. It's kind of a love murder ballad. I wrote this some years back. It's called The Ballad of Jimmy Kyle. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. This actually happened back in the late 40s or early 50s in the coal mining country from which I was born and raised, and this is a true story. And hope you enjoy it. The Ballad of Jimmy Kyle. There was a mountain boy, his name was Jimmy Kyle. He had a heart of gold, you could see it in his eyes. His wife, her name was Rosie, from the Morgan County line. And Jimmy made his living down in the State St. Mine. They had a little cabin just off of 116. Jimmy didn't know his Rosie had a heart so mean. He came home one night early and found his Rosie there, with a man from out in Clinchmore whose name was Billy Howard. But an anger raged inside him like none he'd known before. He left them both to die there on the cabin floor. Then he left old New River, he left there on the run, to try and find a new life and forget what they had done. Well, he went to Stearns, Kentucky, where he worked down in a mine. But he couldn't outlive his sorrows and the deeds he'd left behind. He came back to old New River, where he turned himself in. He was sentenced to life in prison in the Brushy Mountain Pen. My story of this man called Jimmy Kyle. He once was a good man, then a woman drove him wild. Now he's sleeping on the mountain beneath those lonesome pines. This man named Jimmy Kyle, he was a friend of mine. This man named Jimmy Kyle, Lord, he was a friend of mine.
Oh, what time is it? It's fiddle time, and we've got some great fiddlers for you here on the Postmark Jamboree this month. Our first special guest is Evie Andrus. She was on our Jamboree back in May of 2020. She sent us a video for that month's Jamboree. She's multi-talented. She's very peppy. She's very interesting to listen to. She's a great entertainer. She sent us a video, and we'll play that for you in just a minute. But first of all, since we are featuring individuals and groups that have inspired us to keep things going in this time of social distancing and not having live audiences, she decided back in January to do a song a day. So if you follow her on Facebook, that's Evie, E-V-I-E, Andrus, A-N-D-R-U-S. She's posting a video just about every day since January the 1st, either singing, guitar, fiddle, ukulele. I'm not sure what she's got in mind for us coming up in the future. So here's Evie Andrus.
Well, howdy, friends and neighbors. Evie here, Evie Andrus. So excited to be part of this Postmark Jamboree extravaganza. And I'm going to be playing an original fiddle tune for you guys today called Bud's Dance. It was inspired by a very epic selfie that I took up in Montana with a horse named Bud. So I hope you guys enjoy and have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Oh, Lord, what can we say? Red was something else. He just a lot of fun to work with.
Red, I don't know, there's a lot of ways to describe Red. He's, everybody likes his music, and likes Red too. He just, when you're doing the show, he's one that you always notice. I mean, he's always a big part of the goings on. Biggest thing about Red, he could come up with songs that nobody's ever heard. And this, everybody will tell you this about it, but they were such good songs too that I don't know how he got them, where he got them from. Nobody could even come close to singing like Red. You hear Red a mile away, and the first two notes, you know who it is, because he had he's got a unique delivery and a voice, you know, and a choice of songs. Like I said, that most of them nobody's ever heard, but good songs. Red's unique. He's got a unique voice, and his way of playing the bass, he always made a hit with that too, you know. He could hold his own against anybody on that doghouse. A lot of people knows about Red.
Come on up, Red, and kind of give us a good hot one here and warm us all up. What do you say? Tell them something.
I can't tell them nothing, Elmer. I blank his car list.
Tell them something they didn't know.
Tell them something they didn't know. Well, I can't think of nothing I do know. Oh, I don't know. Get about hey, and we'll do something old and tender. One more kiss before I go. There'll be no harm in that, I know. And a kiss would help so much to kill the pain. Tried so hard to make you see just how much you mean to me. But the more I try, the less you care for me. A broken heart, a wedding band that never touched your loving hand. How will I ever face this world alone? Shares the sun's up in the sky. Don't care if I live or die. All I've got's a broken heart, a wedding band. I guess there's nothing I can do. I should have known I couldn't hold you from the start. God bless you and your lucky man. Give him all the love you can. Don't leave him with a broken heart, a wedding band. A broken heart, a wedding band that never touched your loving hand. How will I ever face this world alone? Cheers the sun's up in the sky. Don't care if I live or die. All I've got's a broken heart, a wedding band.
We can do another than Red while you're in such fine voice, because it don't always happen that we catch you in such good voice. So You stick around and we'll let you do another one for us.
Little Barb was a sight, Betty, when she was playing with us there. And her and Elmer, you ought to seen them dance. Well, they'd get out there on that stage, buddy, and they'd have that crowd tore up. It was enjoyable playing with the little girl.
Oh, she was a jolly little thing. I enjoyed her picking behind her, and we just had a ball. All of us did. Played and sung, and she would go to our shows and sang on the Tennessee Jamboree, or if we had a show out somewhere else, she was there.
She got to going around local here where we'd play at restaurants and show dates right in La Follette.
She was a fantastic little something. You had to look twice to see her. But she'd get up there, buddy, and she'd sing her heart out, I'll tell you. And people just loved her. She was a good entertainer, and she'd just reach out to the people, you know, and they just really fell in love with her.
I met her on the Jamboree, first time I guess I ever met her. She was singing on the Jamboree. Then later on I met her at Indian River. That's where she lived. Her family had moved here from Harlan County, Kentucky. And her mother worked in a restaurant at Indian River. Amber and them go out there and sing sometimes on Friday night or on certain nights of the week. They go out there and do a show on the restaurant. I'd go out there and help them do that sometime. Yeah, she was fine. It's not changed much. Yeah, she'll never change, that and won't. Yeah, she's great person.
Little Barbara came down as a guest sometimes. She sang like Loretta and did all Loretta's songs. A young Loretta Lynn. Except she didn't write, I don't think, but she was popular, yeah.
Little Barb, oh yeah, she was one of us, buddy. She's a good little singer. Yeah, she was a trooper. Elmer used to fun her something awful.
He would tease me a lot, Elmer would. He was a sight. He was comical. One time he introduced me over at Knoxville. We was over there, and he said, you know, my wife has been trying to get me to not go out with women and stuff. And he introduced me and he said, you see, I'm slowing down. He said my bikini consists of a Band-Aid at where it look. Dad and I spent the weekends down here. Well, we go back Sunday evening, come down on Friday. And so we heard it on the radio, and he said, I'm going to take you out there. So he took me out there, and I started singing out there at the American Legion building. I just remember going and enjoying it, and I'd sing one song usually when I first started. And Elmer kind of took me under his wing, and then I've sung ever since with him. We had a good time about every weekend. My daddy would take me, different ones, my friends that loved the Jamboree and different, singing, they would take me. I went every Saturday and got my hair done. I think it's early of the morning most of the time. This lady that done my hair, we went together a lot. So we've been friends for years, and she loved music, and we'd go places together. She'd take me. Get my hair done, go eat at Laxton's. They had a restaurant there in town, Laxton's. That was just a restaurant there, had good food. I really enjoyed it. I have. Because I enjoyed singing. I still love it. When it's in your blood, it's in your blood. It's still there. I haven't changed a whole lot in stature, but I never let that bother me at all. I've always done things. God gave me a good brain. That's something to be thankful for, and a talent with it. That's something to be thankful for. My cousin, she was talking, she said, you know, they wasn't nobody made a difference because you were little. Said you would thought you was 7 foot tall. And I never let that bother me.
If you don't want me, baby, if you're not satisfied, if you don't care, get on your horse and ride, ride, ride. Since you got on your high horse, those fancy friends you found, you had a hard time seeing me, you're always looking down. If you don't want me, baby, if you're not satisfied, if you don't care, get on your horse and ride, ride, ride. You talk about me, honey, you try to tear me down, but while you're throwing dirt at me, you're slowly losing ground. If you don't want me, baby, if you're not satisfied, if you don't care, get on your house and ride, ride, ride. I'll have your second fiddle return to you today, 'cause baby, that's one instrument I never learned to play. If you don't want me, baby, if you're not satisfied, if you don't care, get on your house and ride, ride, ride. If you don't want me, baby, if you're not satisfied, if you don't care, get on your house and ride, ride, ride. Ride, 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 ride.
Yeah, shell people or whatever, you know, gas companies and furniture companies. Carl Pierce sponsored a lot of our shows. I told him, I said, you bought my furniture that went in my house when I first got married. He come to the Opryland one time where I was working, come to the show, and I seen him out sitting out there. Now, as soon as the show was over, I walked over to him. I said, Carl, you bought my first furniture that went in my house. It's a true story.
I've done other type of advertising like spots and mostly all of that. And the people that made the spots, you know, they done the advertising for you, you know, and they'd tell you what I had on special and what was running and all that. It was great advertising. It was good for the town, and it was good for the whole county and the surrounding counties.
Elmer would always do his commercials. He would go into a store and write down the copy, and then he would come back and he'd just do it off of those notes, you know. Elmer had a different kind of voice, and he'd say, well, friends, this week they're having a big sale down at the Boston store in downtown La Follette. And on he'd go. He never wrote any copy. He never did. He'd just read it off the list. And he'd go to about 6 or 8 places on Monday morning, get their ad for that week, and come back and sit down, and bam, bam, bam. He was through and gone.
Elmer was right there getting that advertisement, too. I know on one of them, the Indian River Restaurant, they sponsored some, and I was on that. Bailiffs, Woodson's Supermarket. They had one for Woodson's. Going down to Woodson's, that's where I'm bound, going down to Woodson's just south of town.
We'd like to tell the folks now that this next 15 minutes is brought their way by Woodson's Big Supermarket, Highway 25. And boys, let's go to Woodson's one time.
Going down the Follette, that's where I'm bound. Going down to Woodson's, just south of town. Going down to Woodson's, that's where I'm bound. Going down to Woodson's, just south of town.
Woodson's Big Supermarket, Highway 25W, south of La Follette. And we'll be telling you some of the fine buys, too, that you'll find at Woodson's Big Supermarket. But right now, we're going to get right into the program here and move along.
Oh, it's fiddle time again. This next young lady is from Ontario, Canada. She's known on social media as Irish Millie. She is a very talented fiddle player. She's going to do a couple of tunes for us, and we appreciate her sending us this video. She has inspired us to keep the Jamboree going via video, and she's one of our artists we're featuring this month on the Postmark Jamboree. Take it away, Irish Millie.
Irish Millie saying top of the morning to ya. Welcome to the Postmark Jamboree. I'm a 14-year-old fiddle player from Peterborough, Ontario. That's in Canada. Me and Murray are going to be playing you a set of tunes this fine morning called The Cold Frosty Morning and The Old Dangerfield. We hope you're enjoying your day. Are you ready, Murray?
Let's do it.
all of us here at the Postmark Jamboree would like to thank you for tuning in this month. We hope that you'll go to YouTube and check out our previous videos at the Postmark Jamboree YouTube site. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Postmark Jamboree in La Follette, Tennessee, as well as Postmark La Follette in La Follette, Tennessee. We'd like to say a special thank you to all of our performers tonight, especially the ones that worked hard to send us videos. They've inspired us to keep the program going in this time of social distancing and having to perform without an audience. We'd like to take a moment and thank our longtime sponsors once again, Postmark La Follette, Community Trust Bank, United Cumberland Bank, Terry's Pharmacy, Indian River Marina, Tennessee State Senator Ken Yeager, and WLAF AM and FM radio and Comcast Channel 12. You can catch our program on WLAF and also on WLAF's YouTube channel. So be sure and keep track of the Postmark Jamboree and Postmark La Follette. And thank you for tuning in this month.